What's up, enthusiasts? It's your boy Rob back with another video. And I know what you're asking yourself. Rob, why are you wearing a robe right now? Well, the reason I'm wearing this robe, don't worry guys, I've not lost it. I've not lost my shit. I'm wearing this robe because this video is very impromptu. I was just getting ready to start my day. As some of you already know, I've been having some issue with the electricity, the power in the studio area in my office. So I've been just bearing with that and not making as many videos while I try to figure it out. I'm not an electrician, so it's been slow going. But I wanted to make a video today about the future of our hobby. I'm going to also watch a video from Endymion talking about 40K and what Games Workshop is doing to some of the hobby retailers, and give you guys my thoughts on that. So let's get into this video, and yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Endymion, and today I want to talk about some stuff surrounding Warhammer I don't see enough people speaking about, and it seems concerning to say the least. From a looming boycott on Warhammer merchandise to explosions in demand, what the hell is going on over there? Beyond this, I want to also look at an article claiming that right-wing gamers are to blame for the game industry dying in 2024. We'll get there eventually. First, Warhammer 40K is well known, I'm sure. People play the tabletop, a lot play their games too.
It's by far the most popular war game. We already know that. It's transcended being just a board game IP. I feel like more people today know it as a video game franchise versus the tabletop game, which is unfortunate because, you know, us gamers, we know the roots.
Many new fans came in thanks to Space Marine 2, and the Secret Level episode likely brought in even more people. And that's not even mentioning the Henry Cavill live-action universe coming as well, but Warhammer at its core...
If it's still coming, I keep hearing things about that series being dropped and then picked back up, delayed, everything. I know it's not a smooth situation, but hopefully Henry can get it done and it stays true to the lore.
It's about figurines, buying sets, and all of that. Which makes this next collection of stories very weird to talk about, because it's painting two different pictures that are eventually going to collide in spectacular fashion. Firstly, from Fandom Pulse, multiple stores announced their discontinuation of Games Workshop and Warhammer 40,000 products. So what's going on here kind of is that...
Dude, that can change the landscape of a hobby store for sure. I know... I don't want to jump too far ahead, but as far as what's going on in my local stores, the two stores that I frequent, Wargaming doesn't really exist in those stores anymore. You're going to see some Warhammer. You're going to see, before you're going to see 40K, you're going to see Age of Sigmar, but that's really it. And that's usually just one day a week. You can probably get lucky maybe once during the weekday, like a Thursday or Wednesday, and then maybe sometime on a Saturday. But again, it's usually a planned thing between two players, and that's really all you're getting. There's not multiple tables set up and people waiting on games like how it would be for like a Friday Night Magic. That's unfortunate for our hobby, but
that Games Workshop as a company is basically screwing over tons of hobby shops when it comes to selling their merchandise, and how they are allegedly a nightmare to deal with for the store owners, and it's leading to a boycott that could grow in the future. Obviously, we all know the whole female Adeptus Custodes situation, which...
I want to jump back. So I've always heard that GW has been a pain to work with from different sources and stuff, and just online, just the content we see on YouTube. You see videos that store owners would post and them just kind of weighing in on the difficulty it is with, I guess, everything from getting product on time, and just, I guess, GW wanting them to have a certain amount of shelf space dedicated to them, and essentially squeezing out all other games. It's unfortunate.
Pissed off a lot of people, and that's an understatement. It led to the Adeptus Custodes as a brand for Games Workshop begin to undersell and eventually become surplus in many stores, which I've covered in many other videos. Besides that, the Custodes have also dropped in their competitive play in tabletop as well. I reported on that over half a year ago too. But now, because of Games Workshop, which has unfortunately adopted a pro DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion viewpoint, it has had ramifications on the company. And due to this adoption of
With the elections going the way they did, I wonder how many companies are going to stay that course of DEI. Um, I wonder if it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be dropping. You're already seeing that with some airlines, Walmart, I believe McDonald's as well. And I'm sure, once the larger companies follow through with it, these smaller companies are going to follow suit. And you're going to see a lot of people just essentially putting it into a lot of those departments they had that were dedicated to um, equity and inclusion.
radical left wing ideas, it has also had an effect on Games Workshop's corporate attitude when it comes to their merchandise, too. They have also been regularly increasing the price of their physical media seemingly all of the time this past year.
But that's nothing new. We already know that Games Workshop have always been one to increase their prices quarterly or bi-quarterly. And I think as a gamer, if you're a tabletop gamer, you already know that is how it just is with them. And if you play any of their games, you are used to it by now. You may not like it and you may put up with it, but it just comes with the territory. If you're going to be in the hobby space of GW and enjoy their games, you're going to pay the premium, and that premium is going to go up every so often.
Alone, which has led to Games Workshop getting called anti-consumer quite often due to how they're treating legacy hobbyists. Now it seems that hobby shops that are essentially the lifeblood of the company are beginning to boycott the company altogether and wash their hands of Games Workshop, and no, I'm not kidding. Firstly is Paradise Games, a hobby shop located in Spruce Grove, Alberta, Canada. They've decided to completely reject Warhammer content from their store over other products like Magic or Pokemon, they said via Facebook. We have made the decision to pull out of Games Workshop Warhammer. All models are 35% off. They will continue to be discounted until they are all gone. We will continue to carry the Citadel paint line. This seems weird, right? You would think that hobby shops would...
This is something that maybe it's been a long time coming. Now, hopefully it doesn't come back to bite this particular store, because let's be honest, we know as far as wargaming goes, again, like I just said, that Warhammer is usually the only thing that's on most shelves, that's readily available to where you can buy like essentially a collection right there in the store. You can kind of browse, see what you can get see what you're going to buy now, what you're going to buy in the near future. And they have a bandwidth that other games just don't have, even popular games such as Infinity. If you're overseas, Bolt Action, you don't even see a lot of that stuff in the States, especially where I am in the Southeast. You're not really seeing any other games. Most stores in my area, and I frequent, I'm in South Carolina. I go up to North Carolina a lot. I go to Georgia a lot, and I'm starting to get to Florida. I've been to Florida twice this year. Would have been 3 times, but I couldn't make it once. And each time I go to a different state, I try to stop by a gaming store. And with a lot of these stores, I'm seeing the same thing. You might see some old stock of I can't think of the game right now. It'll come back to me, but it's like a card-based game. Green Dragon in Charleston, South Carolina, one of my favorite game stores. My store growing up. They're like one of the only stores that may carry some other wargaming stuff, and again, it's very small quantities, but they actually don't carry a lot of Warhammer. They're more focused on card games, and they're focused on role playing because they're a comic book store, so the role playing books just kind of fall in hand with them, and they kind of lean more towards like collectibles and stuff. But as far as this store is regarding them dropping GW products, obviously they feel that they're in a good enough financial place to where they can get rid of that stuff, free up the shelf space, maybe put something else there, maybe battle space, I don't know. but hopefully a game that'll draw a lot of attention. And I know they're going to. I know every store, their lifeblood is Magic the Gathering. We know that as tabletop hobbyists, that Magic pretty much keeps the lights on in every store. So
would want to keep Warhammer in stock since they are universally well known amongst these types of consumers. Yet Paradise Games has decided to just get rid of their content completely instead. Why would they be doing this, especially since they are also selling these items at a loss as well? Could it be the low demand? Well, that can't be the case since Games Workshop has been seeing record profits this year and then some. This then brings me to the second hobby shop that has also completely gotten rid of their Warhammer stock as well, called RIW Hobbies. Here's what they had to say about this as well. Good evening
really
all, a quick announcement. The straw has broken the Space Marine's back. I haven't heard from my Games Workshop rep in 3 weeks. He blamed it on my cell phone. I've had the same number for 30 plus years.
So
He
just poor
called the
customer
store the
service
second week
from
I
their
called
part.
back immediately within 2 minutes and left a voicemail. All I cared about was my Christmas box sets. We ordered a little over 12,000 units in 40k armies. No
Which is
return
substantial.
calls, no email. He called me 2 days before they were scheduled to release. One of those days being Thanksgiving to let me know that we weren't getting any of our order. If I wanted, I could order them online at a different discount.
Wow.
They wouldn't arrive in time for their scheduled release, and he didn't know when they might possibly ship. He did blame me for the error. I know this not to be true. The day he claims he received my submission, I was in sunny Florida on vacation. After reviewing our sales and space dedicated to the product, we have made the decision to drop all Games Workshop products. It's been a nightmare for years. Thursday.
So, I was thinking at first, listening to this, that it was just a one-off thing. But clearly they have had ongoing issues for years. And finally, this is the last straw. And they are essentially showing them what the deal is with their wallet. They're not giving them any more money. We're not putting any more of your product out, is essentially what they're saying to GW. And yes, this is one store, maybe 2 stores, a few stores. Do I think GW really cares? No, there may be a middleman somewhere that cares that he's not going to be able to push products to these different stores. But I don't think Games Workshop really cares if these smaller stores are not carrying their product. GW has their own stores. If anything, that's just more of a reason for you to go to their stores, which means more revenue for their storefronts. Like I said earlier, if this turns into a situation where these stores are now able to put in other games, I think that'll be really good because it'll finally get attention set on it. Again, it'll be the larger games in our hobby space, but still, it's a good time. It could possibly be a benefit for a lot of games if they're moving. If these games are getting sold, if these new games that are going to replace GW's products, if they're actually getting sold, that's going to be a really good thing. I don't know, because a lot of these stores are dedicated to card players, and a lot of card players just aren't really worried about tabletop gaming. And tabletop gaming is not something you can kind of like wargaming. It's not something you can just walk into the store. In many cases, walk into the store, buy the product, open the box, and start playing, with the exception of like Hero Clicks and some games from maybe Fantasy Flight, which I don't even think Fantasy Flight has a war game anymore. They've got Atomic Mass. Atomic Mass has some games, but I think you're still assembling models and nothing comes painted. So that's another hurdle for a lot of smaller games or just wargaming in general. Let's get back to the video. There's a lot that I want to say on this topic, because I see that our hobby is out of the big 3, big 4, which is cards, role-playing, board game, and obviously us being wargaming. I feel like we are the shrinking market. It's just gaming, like video games are just very appealing. You've got a lot of virtual tabletop stuff that you can do. And so, even with the RPG stuff, with you going digital, as far as buying your miniatures online and being able to change the paint scheme online, uh, that's going to trickle over into wargaming at some point and start to essentially morph what we know as wargaming into almost a digital space.
December 12th is our 12 Days of Christmas sale. If you want to play, feel free to bring an army. We will be liquidating all existing stock at 40% off. Our going away party will begin at 6 p.m. and run until close, snacks and beverages provided. Oh, that's nice at least. The 40% sale will start at 6 p.m. We will organize a line for those who want to show up early, yada,
well,
yada,
if you know
yada.
what that store
if you
is,
have any questions, feel free to send an email.
Get
Well,
you
that
some
isn't good either. I
discount
think we can all
GW
agree.
stuff.
This hobby shop is located in America, by the way, and they clearly stated the reason why they're dropping Games Workshop is because the company refused to give them merchandise on time, it seems, which, of course, if anyone's watching this, that seems stupid, right? Why wouldn't you want to supply the people who sell your products at their stores? It makes no sense. A complete lack of communication in this regard can and will affect your products being sold. However, telling this hobby shop to just order them online as an alternative, that makes no sense either. You're just telling them to buy your product again in a different way instead of just being straight with them.
And it also tells them that, hey, we don't value you any more than our retail customers.
So then I got curious about all of this, and I ended up just straight up calling RIW Hobbies myself. I spoke to someone who worked there, and I simply asked them why they stopped carrying Games Workshop's products. Because screw it, if I wanted to know something, I might as well as ask, so I called and I did just that. And the guy at the store who picked up straight up just told me the single sole reason was because Games Workshop and their representatives are an absolute nightmare to deal with, as he said in his post. And that anytime he would order anything from them, they would either never ship them at all, or they would arrive well after their release date, which of course means that the products would not be as sought after, because then the eager customers would then go to rival stores who would get their stock on time.
Just go online.
And that generally
in most cases, you can get a lot of this stuff from Amazon, and if Amazon ships to you in 2 days, if the store, and this has happened to me before, I call a store or I go to a store and they don't have it in stock. And they're like, but we can order it for you. Well, yeah, you can order it for me, but then I've got to drive back to your store. I still have to wait, however many days, and then I have to drive back to your store. There's no point in that. I'm just going to order it online if I haven't already. So, yeah, these guys, that puts them in a tight situation. That means they need their product in hand before any release dates. So on that day, they can get it on the shelf. So anyone that is an impulse buyer, anyone that's coming in that is looking for a specific thing on release day, they can buy it. I understand that completely.
Games Workshop was not willing to discuss or help these stores, specifically RIW Hobbies in this case, with remedying or, fixing this partnership. So they effectively just washed their hands of everything and said, screw it, and then sold it off at 40%. Nice touch there, by the way. 40K, 40%. I see what you did there. But yeah, I called them, and that's what they told me. Hopefully, they didn't know it was me, so if someone who works there is watching this, yeah, that was me. Hello. And thanks for telling me straight up what's going on there. But it's sad to see, because why would you not want to be supporting these hobby shops? This sort of behavior will only eventually lead to a boycott of your products by your own hand.
There's no incentive, I feel like, for GW. From their perspective, there's no incentive for them. Yeah, I mean, they know they're the most popular game. That's not changing anytime soon. They know that, I'd say, majority of hobby shops sell their products. Hell, you see their products in train stores and like I've seen GW products in train store, like hobby train stores. The very few that you can still find around RC stores as well. So they've got that vice grip, on the market, on the shelves of these hobby stores, and they're like, okay, hey, you stop selling our stuff, that's fine. I mean, I'm pretty sure these representatives can see that games aren't really even being played in the store. Tabletop games aren't really being played in the stores like they used to be. So GW's like, listen, let's promote these people either playing in our store, which they don't really do. The local GW in my area has two tables. One's usually set up always for demos, and the other one, they'll let some people kind of sit around, paint, and maybe get a small game going. But they don't really promote people coming in and playing a full game in their stores. But other than that, they're like, GW's just like, hey, listen, come buy our models, take them home, play at home, and enjoy your experience from there. And if you want to take a step further, yeah, these shops are still going to have tables. They're not going to stop you from coming in and playing our game anyway. So
this isn't because of wokeness or anything like that. In this specific instance, it's solely a business decision and problem at the core of it. I guess Games Workshop just believes that they don't need to cater to or support small businesses in the future, it seems. Which makes you wonder, how can a company that built itself on the backs of these very same stores be acting like this? The answer I found was simply that Games Workshop is becoming too corporatized, too money hungry, and clearly
it's like having a group of friends, and then like say maybe you have some same interests, and as you guys get older, things change. You start getting interested in other things. You start maybe outgrowing them. Maybe you're getting into certain types of business ventures, and your net worth is raising, and you're getting all new connections. You're meeting a whole new swatch of people, and not that you don't necessarily care for those friends. It's a little different in this situation with friends and having a relationship there with. Whereas with GW, there is no real relationship. There was not a personal one-on-one relationship. They are kind of seeing that, okay, hey, there's a whole new market here for us with video gamers and just collectors of figurines and everything else. We've already have the wargaming market. So we're going to go cater to these video game players and these figurine collectors, and who else is over here that we have not had an opportunity to cater to in the past. They have a worldwide recognizable brand now, and they're going to make steps to keep that position and continue to grow in that direction.
Doesn't care about these stores anymore. And like the one rep told RIW Hobbies, they don't seem to value the loyalty of hobby shops, instead placing their hopes and wealth in the bigger international delivery services like Amazon Prime or Canada Post here in Canada, of course. It seems that Games Workshop is trying to cut out the middleman in this scenario so they don't need to split any profit with the hobby shops out there. Home. Instead, they probably would rather you just buy everything via their website and get it delivered straight to your door now. Which, yeah, I know is more convenient in this day and age, but it is clearly having a big impact on these brick and mortar stores. I just find that Games Workshop has done a 180 on the very people who supported them for years like this as soon as the money got good. It just kind of feels scummy. And I should mention that despite this looming boycott by brick and mortar stores, that Games Workshop as a company is not struggling at all. In fact, it's the exact opposite. From Yahoo News, decision issued on Warhammer maker Games Workshop's new $9 million Nottingham factory plan. Wow. So Games Workshop has secured yet another warehouse in their base of operations.
So they're making money, they're selling models. So with these stores saying we're not carrying your stuff anymore, what am I trying to say? It's not as serious to them. I think if anything, it benefits them. That's just one less revenue source for those game shops, which means if you want to pick up GW stuff, if you want to go in and have that tangible experience of going in, picking that box up, flipping it over, and looking at the art, flipping through a book, you got to go to their stores now. You're going to have to go to their stores. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't just start pulling products from stores intentionally.
Operations to continue their empire further. Like I said, they're not struggling at all. They're changing how they do things, and it's clear they're completely disinterested in helping the stores that kept them alive for decades. This new site for their warehouse will be in Lenton. Currently, according to Yahoo News, Games Workshop has 3 massive warehouses already. with over 350 workers who are working around the clock to meet the global demands of Warhammer 40k and so on. And this next warehouse will be open by spring 2026, bringing their operations even closer in line. And all of these warehouses, from what I can tell, operate within the same place too. As a city council officer who officially okayed this said, the proposed development would strengthen existing employment provision by adding new floor space for an established major employer in the city, enabling modernization and increased capacity for manufacturing output. It would also help to secure and potentially provide additional jobs in manufacturing and warehousing employment in future. According to Games Workshop,
So
they'll
it's
be
good for the
heavily
economy
investing in
there.
infrastructure and machinery over the next 5 years or so to all of these warehouses. All of Games Workshop's warehouses and operations have been moved to the UK within the same area since 1997, apparently, so they're there for good, it seems.
I mean,
And
they
they
care about
clearly
the
have no signs
community
of slowing
in.
down, which makes the story about them.
So they care about the community in that aspect. Like they're not like pulling out of the UK and they're shipping all of their manufacturing overseas to China or Taiwan or any other country. Um, they are continuing to stay in the UK for the most part, it seems like. I'm sure they do outsource a lot of products, but I really think that GW is ramping up to really deliver their games to the big box stores. They want to be able to sell you that experience in a box, and get you familiar with that license, and then that box will get you to go play that video game, or that video game gets you to go buy that box from either a Target or from a Barnes and Noble, or more likely Amazon.
Getting boycotted by smaller stores, all the more sad and concerning to see. Remove the DEI wokeness from the equation. What Games Workshop is doing here is clearly being done because they don't seem to care about their supporters as much.
And again, I don't even think that DEI stuff really plays a factor here. I know maybe to the hardcore gamers, the people that have been playing 40K and Age of Sigmar, or the Warhammer, the Old Worlds, and all that stuff, if they've been playing for a few decades, yeah, it matters to you that the lore stays true to its roots. But I think moving forward, again, I don't think that's really deterring a lot of people that are now coming into finding out what GW is and what 40K is. I don't think they really care about a lot of that stuff. If a certain character or a certain faction had females or not, that's not a big deal to them, because they are now just getting into this hobby space, either via video gaming or tabletop, and whatever products are there and however these characters are presented, that's what they know. That's the new lore. That's canon for them.
But it also seems they don't care, since apparently, according to the Yahoo article, Games Workshop has made a profit of around £120 million in the last 6 months already from their growing business. And it's obvious that they are rejecting these stores because they are simply refusing to cater to them because they just don't want to share profits with them anymore. I wonder if this potential boycott could lead to more stores rejecting Games Workshop in the future, and honestly, if it were to happen at this point, I wouldn't even be surprised. Games Workshop has changed, whether it's from how they do business to who they seem to want to cater to. It's the whole modern audience nonsense all over again. I would bet money that you will see a female Space Marine before long too.
Probably.
Nothing is off the table anymore. After all, like I said in my previous Warhammer video, Games Workshop sold their rights to Amazon to use for TV and movies recently too. So we're likely going to see a repeat of the Rings of Power when it comes to how Warhammer is treated by Amazon. I hope I'm wrong. But they can't seem to help themselves. They will find a way to put a chick in it and make her gay and lame like always. Maybe the Emperor can be an Indian bisexual woman with a septum piercing while we're at it too. After all, when the female Custodes thing happened, lots of websites ran damage control for Warhammer to gaslight fans into accepting it. Like PC Gamer back in April 2024, who in their headline shows you what they thought of Warhammer fans. Warhammer 40,000 has slightly more women in it now, and the neckbeards aren't happy. They claim that Warhammer...
and that's another thing. I mean, a lot of the older generation that's been playing these games, they have their models, and they're going to continue to buy the models because, I mean, they play the game. And a lot of people that play Warhammer, whatever flavor, they're not going anywhere. They may quit for a few years, maybe they quit for a full edition, but they tend to come back because they don't necessarily play any other games. So they really only have to cater to the newcomers of this hobby and just to the IP itself, because again, this is bigger than tabletop. You know, especially for Games Workshop, this is a big leap into the spotlight and they're already there. I mean, they are already there. All it takes for them is just a home run video game with maybe like a live service or something if they don't already have one, and people playing it like the 40K version of like a Fortnite or whatever video game is extremely popular right now.
Lore has always been fluid. Therefore, anything can happen and it doesn't matter and you must accept it. It's the Ciri being a Witcher thing too. Lore doesn't matter if it gets in the way of progressive progress, it seems. All that really matters is that women get to be the things that men are, because otherwise it's something sexist, I guess. But that's what I got on Warhammer for now. Well, mostly. There will be a little more in the next story. But generally speaking, that's what I got for this potential looming boycott.
So that's where we are with this, guys. We are not necessarily facing an existential threat, but I think the wargaming landscape is going to change. Obviously, these store shelves are going to change. And hopefully this will be for the better for us true hobbyists. Right now, I see a lot of people on YouTube that I don't think are actually wargamers, and they are benefiting from our views. They're benefiting from our interest in our hobby, and they don't have a genuine passion for our games. You don't see them in any groups. You don't see these people posting gameplay or anything like that. Guys, that's it. This is a lot to digest. This is a lot to really talk about. Guys, down in the comments, let me know how you feel about stores, your local hobby shops, possibly getting rid of all of their GW product and possibly to bring in other lesser known games. Is this going to be a good thing for our hobby or not? Is the tabletop wargaming hobby in a whole, are we in danger of our hobby essentially being erased from the hobby stores and it becoming the thing you do in your basement again? You know, and I know a lot of people that would not frown on that. A lot of people would probably prefer it. I know a lot of guys don't care to come out into the public's eye to play any of these games. I've tried to host a few games at libraries just so the public can actually see tabletop in action, you know, and become interested in it. All right, guys. Well, that's the video for today. Like I said in the comments, let me know how you feel about this possible scenery change, or no, you want GW stuff to stay on the shelves. Regardless of that, just make sure you guys get your games in. We are now going into 2025. I'm looking forward to it. I hope wargaming stays strong in 2025. And let's roll some dice, guys. And like always, I'll see you when I see you.